Gaza, more than 30 houses have been hit by airstrikes on Friday alone. But despite the growing number of deaths, one unlikely survivor is a newborn baby. Nicole Johnston has the story.
This little girl has just been born. While she was still in her mother's womb, she survived an Israeli airstrike. But her mother, Shayma, didn't. She died from her injuries. The doctors carried out an emergency caesarean section and saved the baby.
I think what's happened is a miracle because the mother is dead about 10 minutes. As known, if the mother is dying or is dead for the time more than 5 minutes, usually the babies are dying.
The doctors say that this little girl is still in a very critical condition. But if she can get through one day, her chances of surviving should be much better. The two-storey house was struck in the middle of the night. There were 4 families in it and 5 children. Everyone was injured. The family has a new baby. It should be a time of celebration. But it's war and they're grieving. They say Israel gave no warning before it destroyed the house.
In my cousin's case, they hit the 2 muscles in a few seconds. So they didn't have any time to run away.
Maha Sheikh Ali was in the house when the attack happened.
The
baby is a gift. She's the first granddaughter. Neither Shayma or we will live in peace while the Israeli invasion is there.
Despite all the grief, the family has now given her a name. Shayma, the same as her mother. Nicole Johnston, Al Jazeera, Deir el-Bella.
Shaked took to Facebook to flat out call for a genocide of the Palestinian people. She was quoting an old letter from a Netanyahu advisor, and she said the following, quote, "The Palestinian people have declared war on us, and we must respond to war. Not an operation, not a slow-moving one, not low intensity, not controlled escalation, no destruction of terror infrastructure, no targeted killings." Even with the oblique references, this is a war. What is so horrifying about understanding that the entire Palestinian people is the enemy? The whole people is the enemy. The morality of war knows that it is not possible to refrain from hurting enemy civilians. It does not denounce the UN peacekeeping forces for killing hundreds of in Angola, nor the NATO forces who bombed Milosevic's Belgrade, a city with 1 million civilians, elderly, babies, women, and children. Couldn't be more crystal clear. Flat out saying, it's time for us to just go to work with all the Palestinian people. All of the Palestinian people. Civilians, men, women, children, everybody. They are the enemy. They are the enemy. Period. Period. This is the problem, man. This is the problem. And the U.S., especially with all the aid we give Israel, we shouldn't take this for a second, man. I would cut off all aid immediately if they continue bombing and hitting random targets, essentially.
Well, as we've mentioned, the horror continues in Gaza. A miracle baby who was born after her mother was killed has also died. 23-year-old Shayma al-Sheikh was 8 months pregnant when Israeli F-16 jets fired 2 missiles at her house in Deir el-Bella on Sunday. Medics dug her out, but she could not make it and died on the way to hospital. Local doctors pulled the tiny baby out of her dead mother's body through an emergency cesarean and sent newborn Shayma to the intensive care unit. But sadly on Tuesday, after 3 days of struggle, the baby also died, joining her mother.